To the US Constitution, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Article 2, Section 13 of Colorado's Constitution, essentially Colorado's Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, the right of no person to keep and bear arms in defense of his home, person, and property, or in aid of the civil power, when thereto legally summoned shall be called into question, but nothing herein contained shall be construed to justify the practice of carrying concealed weapons. Antonin Scalia, when it comes to the U.S. Second Amendment, Scalia had explained that essentially we have castle law because we as an individual people have an individual right to own a gun. It doesn't matter the first part, if we're part of a well-regulated militia or not. That's just a preface. That's just a preface. The declarative clause is the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So you had Scalia who says, essentially, the Second Amendment, the U.S. Second Amendment is castle law. It's castle law. We have an individual right to protect ourselves, to protect our homes, to protect our families. Of course we do. That comes from the Second Amendment. Now, Amy Coney Barrett, she says not only do we have an individual right to own a gun, but we have an individual right to own a gun for the traditional arguments that were used, during the Constitutional Convention in 1776 for America and 1876 for Colorado. So, when it comes to what is the law of Colorado, in the very beginning, the Constitution is the foundation. So what is the law of Colorado when it comes to the right to bear arms? Well, the Second Amendment and Article 2, Section 13, you put those two together. So, again, let's just read both of them again. Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So we have a right to keep and bear arms. We have a right to keep and bear arms. Now, in Colorado, the Constitution, Article 2, Section 13, the right. It says, Section 13, right to bear arms, the right of no person to keep and bear arms in defense of his home, person, and property, and in aid of the civil power when thereto legally summoned shall be called into question, but nothing herein contained shall be construed to justify the practice of carrying concealed weapons. So there's two, very specific parts to that. Now, there's some debate in America, but when it comes to Colorado, there's absolutely no debate in Colorado. Of course, individuals have a right to own our own guns. No debates whatsoever. And it's for the traditional reasons. 1776, 1876, because Colorado is the centennial state. So 1776, 1876, some traditional reasons to overthrow an illegal government, hunting, catching a felon, protection for self, property, and others. So those are 4 reasons for owning a gun. So now I believe the Second Amendment, you got not only castle law, but it also says stand your ground and vigilante. If we have a right to own a gun, therefore we have a right to, if somebody attacks us or does something to us, we have a right to use those guns in defense of ourselves. So another awesome Colorado law is the right to revolution. This is Article 2, Section 2. The people may alter or abolish the form of government proviso. The people of this state have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves as a free, sovereign, and independent state, and to alter and abolish their constitution and form of government whenever they may deem it necessary to their safety and happiness, provided such change be not repugnant to the Constitution of the United States. So, we have a right to alter and abolish the Constitution and the form of government whenever we deem it necessary for our safety and our happiness. Okay, so that's, the right to revolution. That's, as a revolutionary, that's what I'm doing. Article 2, Section 2. Right, the people of this state have the sole and exclusive right of govern themselves as a free, sovereign, and independent state, and to alter and abolish their constitution and form of government whenever they deem it necessary to their safety and happiness. So if you don't have safety or happiness, then you have a right to revolution. Article 2, Section 13 of Colorado's Constitution, right to bear arms. There's 2 sections here, but they list it. The right of no person to keep and bear arms in defense of his home, person, property, or in the aid of the civil power when thereto legally summoned. Legally summoned. So what that means, a judge could put guns in the hands of the people. A sheriff could put the guns in the legally summoned. So maybe even a prosecutor or some lawyers. So judges and cops can put guns in the hands of the people when the civil power, therefore, and then the people of Colorado are allowed. So there's 4 reasons, right? So we'll talk about that civil power thing in a second, but to defend ourselves, to defend person and that of our loved ones, to defend our home and our property. So property, well, I mean, my God, that's what, your clothing and your vehicle and your land and your house. So in Colorado, you have a right to keep and bear arms in defense of home, person, property. These are 3, specifics, so we would have to say, well, what's home specifically, what's person, property. But it also is very clear we have an individual right. We have an individual right for that, to defend our home, person, and property. So, number 1, defend the home. That's 2 constitutions that's saying we got castle law. US Constitution says we got castle law, and Colorado's Constitution says that we have castle law. So they have, let's see, right to person, that stands your ground. That stands your ground, and it's also, in some respects, vigilante. So, 4 reasons to own a gun in Colorado is to defend your home, to defend your person or a person, defend property, or to help the sheriff or the judges or whoever. When they summon you to, hey, Mr. Joe Citizen, we summon you to help us go chase this rat bastard felon motherfucker that's hiding in southwest Castile County somewhere. Defend a person, yourself, or another person, right to stop criminality upon your person, or upon your body, and upon the bodies of others. To keep one person from hurting another person. What a novel idea. Almost might be the very central point for the law. Number 3, defend property. Now, there might be some argument about to what extent your house, your car, right, your big stuff, the porch, satellite dish, your land, your car. But what about like Skittles and your tea? And number 4, whenever a civil power legally summons you to have a gun. So there you go. There you go. That's just a constitutional argument for why we can keep and bear arms in Colorado. The right of no person to keep and bear arms in defense of his home, person, and property, or in the aid of the civil power when thereto legally summoned shall be called into question. And then the second section, it looks like they just threw this part in, but whatever. No concealed weapons. So Colorado's Second Amendment says we definitely have an individual right to own weapons, to own a gun, but you don't have a right to conceal that gun. So crazy-ass legal world, isn't it? So Colorado is an open carry state, but nothing herein shall be construed to justify the practice of carrying concealed weapons. But nothing herein contained shall be construed to justify the practice of carrying concealed weapons. So you do have to get a permit, a license, in order to carry concealed weapons in the state of Colorado. So the laws of Colorado are very, very clear. We have a right to bear arms, and if you want to conceal your weapons, you got to get a permit. We're an open carry state. Colorado is an open carry state, and there's logic behind it. It comes from the Wild West. Why is Colorado an open carry state? Well, if you're in a saloon and a cowboy comes in, well, you want to know exactly what he's got and what he doesn't want, right? You're hiding your weapons, you weird-ass, creepy-ass creep, you little sneaky sneak. So in Colorado, the law says it doesn't matter if you got an AK, doesn't matter if you got rifles and pistols or whatever, holster it. Holster it, strap it, holster it. The problem is when you tried to hide it, when you tried to hide your AK-47, when you tried to hide your AK-47, then it's like, okay, you're allowed to have that AK, but why are you hiding it? Why are you concealing it? And only, you know, the people that get a permit, so only, I guess, the creme de la creme, only the most special people are allowed to conceal their weapons. But in Colorado, it's an open carry state. So if you're going to carry an AK-47 around, just make sure, you know, you get a strap on it, put it on your back, have it pointed down, right? Don't have it in your hands, and don't go around pointing it at people, because then that's, you know, that's dangerous. And don't hide it. Don't hide it. You're going around, you got an AK-47 and you're hiding it. It's why, you know, you're allowed to have it. What you hiding your AK-47 for? That's the second section where it says no concealed weapons. So Colorado is an open carry state. So that's constitutionally. Constitutionally, when it comes to the right to bear arms, between America and the Colorado Constitution, we have, you know, a right to bear arms to defend ourselves, to defend others, to defend our property, to help the sheriff or the judges or the lawyers, the prosecutors, maybe the defenders. Whenever legally summoned, if they summon the citizens. So we have a right to have guns, to help out the sheriff and the judges, to defend our home, person, and property. We're allowed to own guns for castle law, 100%. Most likely stand your ground and vigilante law, too. Because you have a right to defend your person. You have a right to defend your property. Even Skittles, probably, right? They try to take your Skittles. I don't know. It would be silly, but Skittles, right? You're taking somebody's Skittles. You can't take people's property. If somebody's taking crap out of people's hands, that's not exactly the kind of, you know, it's not the crap you want in your neighborhood. And then, you know, America, so the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We have a right to keep and bear arms. That right shall not be infringed. We have castle law, and for all the reasons given in 1776, 1876, right, so we have an individual right to own a gun in order to overthrow an illegal government, which actually we have a Colorado constitutional right to revolution, which essentially says the exact same thing. Section 2, Article 2, Article 2, Section 2. Article 2, Section 2 says the people may alter or abolish their form of government for hunting, to catch a felon, protection of self and property and others, to protect your home, protect your person, to protect your property, to catch a felon, for hunting, to overthrow an illegal government. This is constitutional. These are just the constitutional rights that we have. Now, we have a lot more freedoms, and there's a lot more laws in Colorado, the Colorado Code. So let's talk about the Colorado Code next.